In this video, I'm going to be discussing a concept that I have found to be super helpful for increasing speed, spin, and most of all, accuracy in the disc golf backhand. Let's get into it. So, as always, we're going to start with the concepts and the history. Okay, I like to give credit to anyone whose stuff that I learned from. So, first thing we're going to shout out is DG Spin Doctor. Cooking the spaghetti drill, okay? First step in learning this is learning how to cook the spaghetti. Cooking the spaghetti is a drill where you focus on keeping your arm straight and you learn how to throw with a straight arm. Basically, no power pocket. We're trying to keep our arms stiff and the disc away from us, and we're letting basically us turning be what bends our elbow. So to begin, we're just gonna straighten our arm nice and tight, and we're gonna throw while trying not to let our arm bend. Okay, it looks like this. Okay. Okay. So you're going to do a bunch of these, okay? This is very important to learning this next step in the process. You need to learn how to throw with a straight arm, and you need to learn that the faster you rotate, right, the more your elbow will automatically bend. You don't have to bend your elbow will bend. There's a few reasons why I think this is helpful. One, it really helps you keep your elbow up, okay? A lot of times bending your elbow in, retracting your shoulder, all of these things cause elbow drop, but keeping your arm straight, it's very hard to drop your elbow, right? And then as you get better at cooking the spaghetti, right, we'll go over another one right here. So in this one, I'm gonna keep my arm straight, but I'm gonna just lower the tension just a little bit, and you'll see that basically the inertia of me spinning, I'm not sure if that's actually true, I'm not a physics guy, but me rotating, right, is gonna naturally bend my elbow without me having to do anything, okay? So here we go. Straight arm, just not quite as stiff as before. Here, okay? Okay, so 70 miles an hour, 1400 RPM, 2 wobble, okay? And that is extremely low effort. That's all I'm doing is keeping my arm straight, letting my elbow bend because of rotation. And you're gonna find a couple different things when you do this, okay? First of all, your elbow drop is gonna be minimized quite a bit, okay? This is very important for people who deal with elbow drop to learn this. When we throw, we need to keep as little tension as possible, but there needs to be tension in certain spots, okay? I find this drill is very helpful in figuring out where the tension should be, okay? It also helps in keeping the disc away from you. When you throw like this, you're never gonna get in this position. You're never gonna get in this position. You're never gonna get in this position. It's impossible, okay? So we learn to throw with our elbow out and our arm tense, straightening wise, right? The second thing you're gonna notice is, basically on the first half of the throw, as you rotate, there's gonna be a feel like you want to bend your elbow. And if you rotate really fast, even if you try to keep your arm really straight, I'll show you real quick. You can't, okay? You're not allowed to keep your elbow locked. 73.4. You're gonna find it's extremely easy to get speed with this, right? Because you're using the correct mechanics and you're making sure that the lever at the end of the throw is as long and as far away from you as possible, okay? Very important. So what you're gonna feel is, as you go through the first half of the throw, there's this want to bend your elbow. That's basically fighting you, keeping your arm straight, okay? It's okay to let this in as you get better so you actually get to a pocket, right? When you first start, you're gonna wanna be pretty much straight armed to feel what it feels like. And as you get better, you're gonna lower that tension a little bit and get to an actual pocket. But the most important thing you're gonna feel is on the second half of the throw, okay, from the pocket outward, right, you're gonna feel that as that energy that's trying to bend your elbow goes away, your arm whips out very quickly, right? Shout out Beto drill. Not my favorite drill of all time because I like to think about keeping my arm straight rather than extending my arm, right? I like to keep the arm more tensed up to be straight and let the bend happen. And then the pushing out at the end of the motion is just the energy trying to bend your elbow going away, okay? But I want to shout him out anyways because this drill is fairly similar to the Beto drill where you start here and extend your arm out. I prefer focusing on keeping the arm straight and letting the kind of inertia energy bend it for you, okay? So that is cooking the spaghetti. An extremely good drill, one of my favorite drills of all time, and one that I think is very helpful for lots of players, okay? It helps with basically all the main things that you'll have go wrong in your throw. Elbow drop, right? Collapsing, getting too far behind yourself, and hit point, okay? Hit point is one of the big parts of this. As you start getting better at this cooking the spaghetti thing, you're gonna start feeling that your arm wants to extend fully at the hit, okay? Now that you have a really distinct hit point where you can basically aim that thing, right? You can aim where the arm ends the rip out. And that is where you get just a bunch of accuracy increase, right? So you're gonna start here doing the cooked spaghetti and you're gonna, boom, really try to hit a specific spot with that arm whip out. Make sure you do the cooking the spaghetti first because it's basically a prerequisite to learning how to do this, okay? So that's cooking the spaghetti. Next, I want to talk about something that I like to call anchoring the whip, okay? So your arm is now whipping out. You don't require that much rotation. You have a bunch of power coming out of the pocket in a very distinct hit point, okay? Now, I like to think about something that Nick Crush talked about in one of his videos, which is adding the rear shoulder, right, as like the back of the lever, okay? So this is something that I recently started doing and has greatly increased how fast I throw on average. So my average sets went up about 2 miles an hour, which is very, very good for, you know, a month of work. So what I want you to think about when you do this drill, right, is your left shoulder becoming a part of this lever. We already learned how to make basically our front shoulder to our hand be a lever at the very end of the throw. Now think about adding in the left shoulder. Boom. So one person that I see that seems to do this very well is AB, right? He's always got that hand behind him. He's boom, and he's really, his collarbone area, right, becomes a part of the lever that he can then wrench off of, okay? And you're gonna find a few things with this. One, it's very similar to the rear shoulder shall not pass drill, okay? But it's a different way of thinking about it. So if that didn't work so well for you, this is gonna work probably a little bit better. So we're cooking the spaghetti, but we're adding this left shoulder as a lever point. So when we get to the end, right, we wanna stop everything and whip this arm out basically with everything else being stable, all right? I'm not gonna say you're going to stop it. I'm not gonna say you're going to slow it down, but mentally, I want you to think this left shoulder is a part of the lever. So as we go, we're gonna pull through with our cook the spaghetti drill, and then we're gonna basically leverage this rear shoulder to get more pop out of this arm. Make this whole torso area a part of the lever, okay? And that looks like this. Cook the spaghetti plus rear shoulder lever. Let's see if I can do it. A lot to remember here. Left shoulder's a lever. So we'll start with the cooking the spaghetti, same reach back. And then as we come through, we're gonna think about leveraging off this rear side, right? Changing which shoulder we're rotating off of the axes of, okay? So it looks like this. Straight out. Okay, few different things. Firstly, this is kind of hard to do. It's going to be a different timing than you're used to, but I find it's really, really good at allowing you to be able to control your hit point. Okay, I can basically pull through and then I know where my arm whips out to. So if I want to throw right here, right, I just basically anchor this rear shoulder so that my rip out point, my end of arm extension, is in this spot. Okay. We'll do one more of these real quick. See if I can get an actually good one. Start the disc straight. So, okay, 75 plus. I think it's almost 1500 RPM. I don't remember the number. 14 something and 1 point something wobble. Okay, you will notice your spin and your wobble just get better, right? Because instead of doing all this funky swing plane stuff and tucking your elbow and all these little weird things that make the disc have to travel across all these planes, you're just straight up one plane, right? Leveraging your front arm off your rear shoulder. Okay, there's some it's like stick figure physics stuff of Christian Kuoksa doing this, where he basically changes the lever from being his front lever to his back lever at the end of his throw. Super interesting stuff. I'll see if I can link it in this video. But I have found accuracy wise, this is the best way I've found to fix my accuracy, and it is absolutely effortless speed. My normal speeds have gone up quite a bit. Let's do a couple throws focused on this. I mean, we already hit 75, so I don't know how much better we can do. But basically, you're going to want to think about everything, this left shoulder to this front hand, being just one big lever, one big pull that you're throwing off of, okay? So even when you reach back, I'm going to start with my arm straight, and basically this is all in a line, right? I'm going to coil so this all stays in a line, right? And then as I rotate, the elbow is going to bend, but I'm still mentally thinking that this is all one line that I'm swinging, one big pull that I'm swinging, okay? So when this arm bends, it just creates lag, if you want to say that, in the disc compared to the lever that it's on, okay? So coil back, all one lever. As we rotate, elbow bends naturally, and that's all we're trying to do is restore that pull that we were swinging back to straight. That's all we have to do, okay? This is the best way that I've found to incorporate that out-of-pocket acceleration. A lot of people say you use the tricep. The Beto drill obviously talks about that. And it's true, but it's really hard to do basically manually. The best way I've found to do it is to try maintaining that pull as one stiff lever and then letting inertia or whatever bend your elbow into the pocket, and then when that energy comes away of it trying to bend you, you just return it to the lever that it was supposed to be in the first place. Okay, this gets you a ton of speed, a ton of spin, and just a really easy hit point to hit. You can start hitting your lines much easier because you're just basically putting this pole where you want to go, okay? A few other things to mention, just like the rear shoulder shall not pass video, this does change mechanics in your body. When you think about doing this, right, you're going to see a little bit stronger of a brace and a little bit more rigidity in your torso. There are a few reasons for this, but basically it's because you need to be pushing into the ground and back to stabilize everything, to let this lever actually move independently, okay? So I find very helpful for the brace, and especially very helpful for the torso rigidity, all right? One more real quick. Now, don't overdo it to where you're trying to yank this arm back and basically pull your chest apart. I don't think that's very good for consistency. It can get you some nice speed, but I find it really limits my consistency, ups my wobble, lowers my spin. This is a much more smooth and easy way to do it. We're just gonna straight arm, back, rear shoulder's a lever. Okay, to be clear, I am not thinking about my legs. I am not thinking about anything but this big long pull from my left shoulder to my hand and just basically keeping that pull straight. Here it's getting bent, but I don't want it to get bent. I'm still fighting to keep it straight, right? Here, and then here, as that energy goes away, straightens because I have stiffness. I have power moving outward already that is being overridden by me rotating and then returning to straight at the end, okay? So that is the anchoring the whip drill. Shout out to all the coaches who came before me. You know, disc golf ideas have been around for a very long time. I'm sure anything that is said by any coach has been said by someone before. So I think it's really important that, yeah, you call back to the people who came before you if you're gonna teach stuff like this. And if you're not doing that, for shame. If you need personalized coaching or help with your throw, check me out on formero.com. I am the #1 coach on there right now. So just scroll to the top and you will find me. Plenty of students and they're all making progress. You could be one of them. Check me out. As always, peace.